So you can see as we're moving up this value chain, basically what's extending is the amount that you're being taught, which is really kind of the key. Now, we talked about in person, and I pulled this one up for exactly that idea. This is Veric Business School. It's not one I'd heard of prior to doing this research.
I've never heard of it.
But this one's based in Brussels. So if you fancy a trip to Brussels, this is 6 days on site.
Crash course
And priced, now we're jumping quite a bit because this is almost 7,000 euros, which right now is about $7,000 for 6 days on site. Now looking at, I just skipped to their program, we've got data and analytics strategy on campus, AI and big data analytics, which is self-paced online, so not all of it's on campus. Operationalizing AI and big data on campus, cultivating AI and big data on campus. I'm not sure what the difference between those two is. And then a comeback day. So a mix of campus. We're seeing some themes here that are probably similar to a lot of them. Module 1, data and analytics strategy, AI and big data. Again, we're looking at discovering machine learning, learning about natural language processing, deep reinforcement learning. So you've got a whole module here that's basically a technical deep dive,
right?
Which to me is not really where you should be going for business, but by the by, operationalizing, that is key. Cultivating how to win customer buy-in, collaboration. I think those are kind of quite general. But if your thing is you like a short, intense course where you're actually on campus and you can stick everything together, that's one there. Just a plug for me, I also do that. It's been quite a while, again, since COVID. Everybody stopped that, but I have a week-long course coming up in Kuwait at the end of this month. For those that actually want to see somebody in person.
I noticed that one also at the bottom said something about 2 months worth of 2 months or 2 weeks of personal project, something like that. Personal data-driven project. Period of 2 months, work on a personal data-driven and blah, blah, blah. And then an on-campus day. So it sounds like they have 6 days, potentially 2 months worth of work, and then you come back for your comeback day. So 2 trips to Brussels. Bonus.
Right. Yeah. So if
if
you're on the company dime, maybe this is the one for you.
Sorry, team, I have to go back to Brussels.
Yes. It's a hard life.
Yeah.
So here we're moving completely up the scale. So we've gone from $7,000. Now we're jumping right up, if you're an international student, to $25,000. Less if you happen to be in the UK, which is good if you're in the UK. But there may be some of these around. I did find a few of these around the world, and these are MBAs focused on AI now. Very few.
I would imagine that's just getting going.
Yeah. So I call my education the MBAI, which is Masterclass for Business AI, but this is a real MBA, as in an MBA, with a focus on AI.
Right.
Hence the $25,000 price tag. But if you look at, which is that's for UK students, it's 18. For international, it's how much? Oh, it is 18 for. Come back. Doesn't want to show me the international one. Go away. I think that's the international cost, about £19,000, $25,000, which, depending where you are in the world, is actually cheap for an MBA.
Well, that's what I was just thinking.
I mean, even here,
that seems very inexpensive for an MBA program.
Where I am, Cambridge University's MBA, executive MBA, I think right now is £70,000 or about $100,000, which is not untypical. But this university is pretty well. They're going to jump on me in the comments, but it's not a high-ranked university. It's not like Cambridge, so it's not a prestige one, but it is a university. This is online and on campus, 1 year full-time, 2 year part-time. The point is, if you wanted to do an MBA with a focus on the AI, there are some available. Not many, but there are. So if you really wanted to go down that route, somebody's got you covered. And the way they structure this is that as you progress through the course, you get a certificate, which turns into a diploma, which turns into a master's degree if you go through the whole way. And I think this is very much the focus of, postgraduate business education, where some people might not be able to finish everything. So they can do a bit of it, get a certificate, do a little bit more, that turns into a diploma, and do the final thing and end up with the master's. And of course, this is it's both on campus and online, but it's a mix of pure MBA with some AI sprinkled in as its little bit of secret spice on top. So if you want to go the MBA route, there are options there.
I would be very doubtful, as you know me well enough. I'm doubtful about a lot of things. I would certainly be doubtful about an MBA program being relevant in AI. And I say that because the field moves so quickly. I mean, leadership is leadership, and that's thousands of years old, and that stuff doesn't change day to day.
Yeah.
Business, same thing, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of patterns. But the AI specifically, that level of stuff. And maybe even the stuff, the way you teach it, right? Organizational, how do you think about the organization? How do you think about building a community of practice? Those things are not going to change radically, but the technologies are shifting very, very quickly, and you still have to stay fluent in that. So it'd be interesting to know, one, who are the people behind the program? Because ultimately, for me, it always comes down to who's teaching this and what do they really know about the real world? Or are they just conveying, academic concepts that are great for academia, but totally unused in the real world? So who's teaching it? What is their background? What are their skills and kind of real world credentials as opposed to academic credentials? And is it keeping up with the state of the art? So those are all, I think, really good questions for anybody in any program, but I think particularly for AI.
I think that really drives your value for money.
Yeah.
So next one is an 80-week program. So we're stepping off even a bit longer. And this this is a commercial one.
Okay.
For anyone who doesn't know the exchange rate for Swedish krona, this is about $20,000. It's about, I think it's, we just knock off a zero. That's about that much in dollars. This is 80 weeks, 53 weeks on campus, 27 on internships. This is very much a vocational course. Now, I haven't jumped in too much detail about how exactly they're filling that out, because they're saying you're working 9 to 5 for 53 weeks on campus. I'm not quite sure how you're filling that out with understanding how to be an AI business consultant, because most business consultants haven't had that much experience themselves in their working life.
Yeah.
It's very much a vocational program. And this is a company called Hyper Island. And they specialize in these vocational courses, not just AI. So I put that one there as a bit of a left field one because it's interesting. But
I've never heard of a course like that. That's super interesting, and it'd be good to dig into that. And like I said in the other one, who's doing it? What do they know? How did they assemble this course? And really, what ultimately matters is where have the graduates landed?
Right.
Are they all at McKinsey and Deloitte and BCG and whoever, Fractal and are they the big four, or are they going off into the AI, the smaller, faster, lighter AI consulting firms? It'd be interesting to know that.
Probably. One to dig into, but there is another left field one. Another kind of left field one is Microsoft. So this is not an education course per se, but Microsoft's AI Business School has a whole bunch of resources, including some courses, some white papers, obviously some customer stories, but they've got some short videos, podcasts, and this is all free as far as I'm aware. I don't think you have to pay for any of this. So if you wanted a lightweight introduction to see whether you even need to know any of this stuff, Microsoft has a nice site. Now, lots of vendors have these kind of resources. Why I picked Microsoft's in particular is they've wrapped it up really nicely all together. So you're not having to bounce around all sorts of places and look for this material. They've got it in what they call the AI Business School. And it's there just to, give you a bunch of cores. Obviously, it's not structured. It's eat your own, view at your own
follow
pace.
Your own path.
But there are some quite interesting resources there, and it's free, so it might be useful if you're not sure whether you need to even look at this, to go through that just to get a feel for what kind of information these people will teach you about.
I went through a few of these courses. I went through some of the Google ones, some of the Amazon ones, and some of the Google ones.
Mm.
And I have to say that they were not bad, especially if they're free, right?
Yeah.
So you can just dive in, and they were really good primers on just kind of what's happening in the industry and what the language means. And I think they're a really good place to start for many people. Obviously, there's
Mm.
also Andrew Ng's, AI for Business course is out there, and that's a huge one. Everybody on earth probably has already taken. If they haven't, that's a great one to start with as well. But I think there's nothing wrong with these. I think some of these vendor courses are a really good intro.
Yeah, and I think the key is just how well these vendors wrap them up so it's easy for you to just step through the material.
Yeah.
So you're not having to try and figure it out for yourself.
And that's where I think Amazon did well and Microsoft did well. Google, as usual, is just kind of this mess of stuff dumped on a page, and it's hard
Right,
to sort
because
of find your way through in a
their
logical
focus
path.
is, oh, you're smart, you're a PhD, you can figure it out.
Yeah, it's not quite as well curated from a learning path
Right.
perspective.
Microsoft, I found, was
Yeah.
on kind of the other end of the spectrum. LinkedIn has its learning stuff, and there's tons of this kind of stuff about AI in business essential training. Look at the length; it's an hour and 25 minutes, which is probably shorter than this podcast, and really just talks about optimization, pattern recognition, expert systems, mainly the technology, so nothing about business at all.
Right. As it
So
can't. It's an hour and a half. I mean, this is just simply LinkedIn. What's the word? You're sticking the sticker on your LinkedIn profile. So somebody will do it for free or pay $25, take an hour and a half out of their day and go, aha, I have my AI and business essential training certificate, which I'll slap on my profile.
yeah, yeah.
And,
So it is there, but just be careful what you wish for. You're not really going to get anything more than, if you actually wanted the training, you'd get more value from just watching our podcast series.
Yeah.
If you want a badge on LinkedIn, knock yourself out.
Oh, we should give people badges on LinkedIn for watching our podcast series.
Oh, we should, yeah. That's an idea.
I've watched 10 episodes. Poor you. Awesome, Ian. Thanks for putting together all of the tabs here today and bringing all this stuff forward on these AI business education courses. I think that's probably all we have time for today on this episode. I know that you and I were talking about putting the next episode out where we would go through your course that you developed over the last couple of years after you had sort of looked at a lot of these courses where you felt like you wanted to take your experience and sort of summarize it and give it to people, to especially executives who are looking to sort of gain AI fluency, for them to get a leg up on improving their own skills so they can help their organizations kind of succeed faster in AI. So why don't we wrap up for today, and then on the next episode we can dig into your course and how it works and how long it is and pricing and all that sort of stuff.
Sure. And look forward to that, because obviously that's the best of all of these.
Exactly. I actually think it is too. And I looked at all these courses, and I will vouch for Ian that I'm actually really impressed with the coursework he's done. I'm excited about doing spending some time with him to look at that course, because it is an excellent course. I took it myself, and that was the beginning of our sort of collaboration relationship. So we'll cover that on the next episode, and in the meantime, we'll wrap for today. So do us a favor and hit like or send us a comment and let us know what you thought of today's episode. Tell us which courses you would have taken or other ones that we should be looking at. And feel free to share this to your friends if you or other folks are looking for some courses. But definitely catch us on the next episode when we go through the course structure that Ian has in his course. So that's it for now. Thanks, Ian. And we'll see everybody
See you next time
on the next episode.
Bye-bye.